Hi class, so after looking at the module and the copyright law websites, I was very surprised to learn that copyright isn't as simple as it seems. I figured that if I just cited or gave credit to the author or creator of a work, I should be fine, and as long as I didn't copy or massively copy their work for commercial use, I should be fine. But that's not the case. There's this gray area, especially for us as educators, that we should be mindful of. And this module opened my eyes to that gray area. For instance, is it okay for a teacher to copy whole textbooks in order to save the students or school some money? And is it fair use? Through this section, I learned that it is not, that every effort should have been made to obtain legal copies of the textbook, because this is quite different from running off copies of a part of a textbook or a chapter of a textbook that is only going to be used once or maybe a couple times throughout the year. So that is fair use for educators, but not copying whole textbooks. And there are other gray areas like that we should be mindful of. And I was surprised to know that there could be so many gray areas for copyright, because like I said, I figured that if I was giving credit to the author or owner of the work and I wasn't copying their work full scale and massively distributing it, it should be fine, but this is not the case. There are cases where you can accidentally infringe upon the other creator's market or make unfair use of their work. So that's what I learned from this chapter. And what surprised me the most was the showing of movies. Like there was a question on the quiz that talked about donated movies from Blockbuster being showed for reward or entertainment purposes in school. So this wasn't fair use because it wasn't directly tied to educational purposes or instruction. So that's why in this case it wasn't fair use. And the school would need to obtain a license to show the movie just like a movie theater would. And as far as breaking any copyright laws, I don't think I've had anybody break copyright laws in the classroom. I didn't have any teachers copying off full textbooks for us to use or showing movies that were donated for entertainment purposes or anything like that. So for that, toward that end, I don't think copyright laws are often broken by educators, but in that gray area, we should be mindful of it, or else we would be breaking copyright law. But in most cases, because our use is instructional, we should be covered under the fair use. But like I said, there's this gray area we should be mindful of, and if we're ever in doubt, we should first ask ourselves if the use is transformative and if it adds value to the existing work. And then beyond that, we could use the four-factor test of the fair use doctrine. And then, especially for online materials, you can take advantage of Creative Commons works available online that make it much easier to use stuff that we see online without having to have permission and use it for our purposes. Because I learned that the original copyright law, or the current one, is very ironclad, and it protects the interests of businesses such as Hollywood and the big publishers. But when it comes to educators creating work, we don't need such strict protections, and we want our work to be shared within certain limitations. For instance, one of the Creative Commons licenses involves just giving credit to the original creator, and that's it. Other than that, we have free range to remix, distribute, share, whatever. That's the least restrictive. And that there are other creative licenses that are more restrictive, depending on the needs of the creator. And as far as the quiz goes, I scored a 66% the first time I took it, and I took it before I started the module just to get a feel of how much I knew about fair use, or what would be okay to do in the classroom. And after I took the module, and I scored 100%, and after going through the module, the answers became clear, just common sense, like protecting the interests of the publishers and the movie makers. So I learned a lot in this module, and it made me think more deeply about the works that I will use in my classroom, and about that gray area where I might be accidentally interfering with the creator's market, even though I may not be making money off the copies or my use. I would still be accidentally infringing upon their market, and that would not be good for their business.